what do you have for vacancies on your boards? Conservation is usually an appointment. You don't have to go through an election. If it's a midterm thing and you have a vacancy, you can be appointed until the election. So I'll write the one paragraph letter for you. That's sometimes all it takes is to get on board and help out. And we really need to take things back at the local level. These regional guys are harmless if your locals refuse to contract with them. All right? We can wallow in the weeds sometimes on contract law because we've adhered to some nasty ones over time. All right, driver's license. Every ticket you ever got, you got under a UCC code. All right?
It's an ECC.
UCC, Universal Commercial Code. If you get a traffic violation, you have violated a commercial code. And interesting, why is that? Well, you go back to the origin of driver's licenses, and it was to regulate things like people would drive buses and cement trucks and public transportation. Yeah, maybe there is some need to make sure that they're qualified and have a license and are fit to, you know, be out in the public like that. But our right to travel is inherent in the Constitution. The Constitution talks about the right to travel. Now, I know somebody personally who's been arrested and dragged into court 40 or 50 times for driving without a license and has not been convicted once. You need a license to engage in commercial activity on a public roadway. And if you're driving to grandma's house to hang out, you're engaging in personal transportation, which you have a constitutional right to do. You know, you don't go in and argue with the cops when they say, well, they tell you were doing 50 and you say you're doing 45. You go in there and say, why have you interrupted my day? Do you have jurisdiction? I watched this guy walk into a courtroom, or didn't walk in, he was invited in. They asked him to raise his hand and swear an oath, and he said, I'm not here at war with the state today. He says, will you please come in and raise your hand and take the oath? And he says, I'm not boarding your ship. All right, those rails that you go through in a court of law, and you look on the other side of those rails, you'll see an American flag with yellow trim around it. That's admiralty law. The judge was not happy. He put 2 pairs of handcuffs on him and dragged him in the back and said he'll deal with you later, and found him in contempt of court. Wanted to fine him, I think, $3,500. Processed the rest of the people in the courtroom and brought him back out again, asked him if he wanted to raise his hand, and said, nope, and I don't. He says, do you want to go back and lock up? What's for supper? At the end of the day, when time 4 o'clock rolled around, that judge was begging this guy. He's a few years younger than me, probably about your age. Begging him to pay a $50 fee. He said, you got to give us something. He says, a victim witness fee at the very least. And he said, Judge, I'm the only victim and witness in this courtroom today. He says, you've not proved that you have jurisdiction, and I've proven mine. And I says, are you going to feed me supper, or where are we going with this? They uncuffed him and let him go.
That's awesome.
And it's a whole family, the father and all 4 of his sons. They don't have driver's licenses because they feel they don't need it if they're not engaging in commercial activity. And that's the history. Not that it has anything to do with Agenda 21.
I like that.
But there's a difference between legal and lawful, and we need to start discovering what those things are.